Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Number System with worship music. And we're going to dive in a little bit more on songs that aren't your typical songs. Like I said in my last video, 99%, 95 to 99% of all worship music out there when it comes to the 3 and the 7 are slash chords, but we're going to talk about exceptions to the rule. But we're going to get into how to call numbers that are not typical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the last video, I explained every time I call a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, what I'm actually calling. I'm calling the 1, which is your root. I'm calling a 2, which is always a minor. I'm calling a 3, which is always a slash chord, the 1 over 3. The 4, which is always a major. The 5, which is always a major. The 6, which is always a minor. And the 7, which is always a slash chord, the 5 over 7. In my worship setting, when I call a 3, if that's the only thing I say, play the 3, everybody knows it's the 1 over 3. When I say play a 7, everybody knows it's the 5 over 7. When I say play a 6, everybody knows that it's actually a minor chord. When I say play the 2, everybody knows it's a minor chord. Once you establish the language, once you establish every time I call just a number without anything else, that's what it means, then you could get into what I call is adding to those numbers. What do I mean by adding to those numbers? Well, the easiest one to talk about is the 3, because that's going to be the one that sometimes becomes a minor as well. Going back to some old Vineyard songs, in a song like Holy and Anointed One, if you know that one, it starts on a G, and then the second chord in that song is actually a minor chord. It's a B minor. I would call that, if I was directing the band, if I was a music director and we started playing spontaneously, we started playing Holy and Anointed One, I would call the 1, and then I wouldn't say 3, I would say 3 minor. 3 minor. If I say 3, again, everybody in my band is going to know, well, if I say 3, that means a 1 over 3. In the key of G, that would be a G over B. But if I specifically say 3 minor, they know that that's the minor, okay? There's one song in particular out there, and I'm not even sure what key it's in, but in my mind, I like to think that it's in the key of G, because that's how I interpret it. And it's got a lot of different chords in it if you think, oh, this is a song in the key of G. And this would be the song Hotel California. I know it's not a Christian song, but I couldn't think of another example that had so many unique chords. So if you think of the song Hotel California being in the key of G, okay, this song actually starts off on a B minor. So what I would say, if I was calling Hotel California in the key of G, I would say 3 minor. And then the next thing that it goes to is a 7. It goes to an F sharp, but I wouldn't say 7, because a 7 would tell people, oh, that's a D over F sharp. Okay? I would say 7 major. Okay? 7 major. And then if you know the song, you know the next chord that it goes to is actually the 2 on the scale. It goes up to an A, but it doesn't go to an A minor. It goes to an A major. So I would call 3 minor, 7 major, and then a 2 major. And then it actually drops down to a 6 in the scale, but it's a 6 major. And then it finally goes back around to the 1. And then it goes to the 5. Then it goes to what I would call in worship the 6, the E minor. And then it goes back to the 7 major. I know that might sound confusing, but here's what your takeaway needs to be. When it comes to anything besides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, establish that as what I said in the last video. Major, minor, slash chord, major, major, minor, slash chord. If you establish that's what the numbers mean, then whatever you add to those numbers, it augments those numbers. If I'm in the key of G and I call a 1, here's my G. Then I call a 5, here's my D. Then I call a 2 major. I'm not going to be playing the A minor, I'll play an A major. So from the 1 to the 5 to the 2 major to the 4 back to the 1. That's a weird progression. It doesn't sound right, but if I called it that way, that's how it would come out. If I'm playing again in the key of G and I call a flat 7, my 7 is typically an F sharp, but I know that now you're talking about the F. A lot of times in a song, a flat 7 will get added. 3 minor will get added, and a flat 7 will get added a lot of times. What I've established, again, this is just with my team, what I've established with my team, when I say flat 7, they know that it means the full major chord, flat 7. Because that's the language that I use. If I say flat 7, it means flat 7. Flat 7, 4, to the 1, 1, flat 7, 4, back to the 1. So I hope that helps. I know I haven't covered absolutely everything, but if you want somebody to play something unique or different, you can always call it on top of the number. If I want it specifically to be like a 5 sustained chord, then I could call, I want you to play 5 sus. So again, key of G. I like going back to G. I'm in the key of G. There's your 1, and I could say 5 sus because I want everybody to play that sustained. 5 sus. Anything that you see in typical chord charts that has a sustain or a 7 or a major 7, whatever it is, just put that at the end of the number. The only exception to that rule, for me, again, because I want there to be shorthand for most cases, for my 3 and for my 7, those are always my slash chords because, again, most of the time in worship songs, that's what you're dealing with. When I call the 2 and the 6, those are always minor chords. I don't have to say 2 minor. I don't have to say 6 minor. I can call 2 or 6, and my team automatically knows Matt is talking about the 2 minor. He's talking about the 6 minor, even though I don't say 2 minor and 6 minor. I hope that makes sense. And in the next video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about hearing the tonality of the different numbers, because it goes a long way when once you can hear the numbers, you can begin to memorize songs a little more. And then in a subsequent video, we're actually going to break down how I memorize songs, the chord structures of songs so quickly, and hopefully you can apply it to your musicianship as well. But until then, as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll be reading them all, and I'll answer any that I can. And hopefully, if I don't answer them, somebody else will chime in and they'll be able to answer them for you. Until then, we'll see you later, and keep on learning those numbers.